Have you ever wondered why the smartest person you know suddenly vanished? No calls. No posts. No explanations. Most people assume they're depressed, arrogant, or avoiding everyone, but psychology reveals something far more surprising. Highly intelligent people often disappear for a reason that most people completely misunderstand. And once you know it, you'll never see silence the same way again. Here's the assumption almost everyone makes first: something must have gone wrong. A falling out. A breakdown. A grudge nobody named out loud. And sometimes that's true. But when researchers actually study disappearance patterns among high-functioning, high-cognition individuals, a different story shows up far more often, one that has almost nothing to do with the people they left behind, and everything to do with the cost most of us never learn to notice. That cost is called cognitive load, and it's not a metaphor. It's a measurable quantity. Every conversation a person has costs mental processing, tracking tone, reading subtext, managing their own reactions, predicting what to say next. For most people, this runs quietly in the background, barely registering. But for a mind that processes more layers per interaction, more subtext, more implication, more of what's not being said, that background cost is significantly higher. Psychologists studying gifted and highly analytical populations have found they frequently report a kind of social fatigue that looks identical to introversion from the outside but has a completely different engine underneath. It's not that they dislike people. It's that being around people, fully and attentively, is expensive in a way most people never have to budget for. Now, expense alone doesn't explain disappearance. Everyone gets tired sometimes. What turns fatigue into a vanishing act is a second ingredient: the absence of an off switch that doesn't also feel like a betrayal. Because in most social circles, there's no accepted way to say, "I need to step back from everyone for a while, and it isn't about you." Try saying that out loud and watch what happens. People hear rejection, even when you mean recovery. So instead of risking the conversation, and instead of risking the guilt that comes with disappointing people they actually care about, many highly intelligent people choose a different, quieter exit. They don't announce the retreat. They just reduce. Fewer replies. Shorter visits. Eventually, none. Not because the relationship ended, but because explaining the retreat felt harder than simply performing it. And here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because this pattern isn't unique to modern overstimulated life, it shows up in the anthropological record too. Anthropologists studying small-scale foraging societies have long noted that individuals occupying high cognitive load roles, trackers, healers, strategists, the people whose judgment the group depended on, would periodically withdraw from camp life entirely. Not exiled. Not punished. Simply gone for stretches of time, alone, before returning to full participation. It wasn't treated as strange. It was treated as necessary. Complex cognitive work, the kind that keeps a group alive, required uninterrupted mental space that constant social presence made impossible. Withdrawal wasn't the failure of belonging. It was the maintenance cost of being useful in the way only they could be. We've mostly lost that framework. In a modern social world built around constant availability, replies expected within minutes, presence expected at every gathering, there's no longer a culturally accepted category for, "I am doing necessary internal work and that requires being unreachable." So the same withdrawal that used to be understood as maintenance now reads as abandonment. And the person doing it usually knows exactly how it looks. That's the part almost nobody accounts for. The disappearance often comes with guilt attached, not indifference. They know people are wondering where they went. They just don't yet have language for why leaving, temporarily, felt less costly than staying and performing okayness they didn't feel. There's a third layer worth naming, and it's the one that turns temporary withdrawal into something that can look permanent from the outside: the compounding effect of masking. Highly intelligent people, especially those who learned early that their full thoughts made others uncomfortable, get very good at editing themselves in real time, softening opinions, translating complexity into small talk, performing an easier, more digestible version of what they actually think. That editing is itself cognitively expensive, layered on top of the load of the conversation itself. Do it for years, across every relationship, and you accumulate something close to a debt. Eventually the debt gets called in, all at once, and the only repayment that works is silence, not selective silence toward one person, but a wide, sweeping quiet toward almost everyone, because the exhaustion isn't really about any single relationship. It's about the years of unpaid cost sitting underneath all of them at once. So by the time someone suddenly disappears, it usually isn't sudden at all. It's the visible endpoint of an invisible accumulation, months, sometimes years, of interactions that cost more than they gave back, absorbed quietly because there was no accepted way to ask for less. The disappearance isn't a decision made in a single afternoon. It's a threshold finally crossed. And this is the part worth sitting with, because it flips the whole story most people tell about it. We tend to read disappearance as rejection, as if the person decided everyone around them wasn't worth the effort anymore. But what the research and the anthropological pattern both point toward is something closer to the opposite. The withdrawal usually isn't about the value of the people. It's about the exhausted management of being fully present with all of them at once, with no permission to ever set that weight down. The silence isn't, "You don't matter." It's closer to, "I ran out of the specific kind of energy that mattering to people actually requires, and I didn't know how to say that without it sounding like I meant the first thing." Which changes what you might do the next time someone in your life goes quiet. Not everyone who disappears is fine. Sometimes it is genuinely a warning sign worth checking on directly and gently. But if it's someone you've always known to be thoughtful, careful with people, the one who noticed things others missed, consider that their silence might not be a verdict on the relationship at all. It might be maintenance. The same instinct that once sent a tribe's most valuable mind alone into the trees for a while, not because the group failed them, but because being that useful, that attentive, that perceptive, has always required somewhere to set the weight down. So if you're the one who's gone quiet, if you felt that pull to step back from everyone at once and couldn't quite explain why, you're not broken, and you're not as alone in this as the silence makes it feel. You're running an old, necessary process that the modern world simply never built a polite name for. And if you're the one waiting for someone to come back, maybe the most useful thing you can offer them isn't a message demanding an explanation. It's just knowing that when they do resurface, the door was never actually the thing they were avoiding. It was everything standing between them and it.